So seemingly the argument seems to be that men that are too lazy to make their wives happy, or just men that are single and maybe too lazy to get like a decent body from working out and like hold a job and blah blah blah. All those things that it takes to be a man that's worthy of a date, I guess. Yeah. They're unwilling to do that, so they'd rather pay women living in tents to take them to go out on dates with them, and prostitution, essentially. But I think that's the ultimate argument, is that men otherwise, if they don't have sex, can contain themselves and get ultra horny. Is that the idea? That men who don't have enough self-respect to have something going for themselves, that they then should be allowed to have like a subset of women that they can pay to have interactions with. And I'm just trying to understand it right, because from my perspective, it seems like we have this law, right, that says no prostitution, and then we have this gray area where we allow entertainment clubs to ride the edge of that line, where like you always have your streets in cities, right? There's always gonna be streets. In Seattle, it's Aurora. In New York, I'm sure they have a street where the prostitutes go. Same with LA. Any big city is gonna have like one area where it's known to have prostitution, and it's not necessarily about like pimping anymore. It's more about like just sex for money, right? So, and I understand this is an uncomfortable thing to talk about. The only reason I am willing to speak on it is because I've been licensed to be a manager in an entertainment club or whatever, and a cabaret is what they're called. And I've seen things I don't like. I've seen instances where things could go both ways and you don't really know what's going on, and it can be dangerous for the person working there, because you never know when a girl is selling her body for money and then a different one's not, and then next thing you know, the one that's not just rips some guy off for $1,000, and all of a sudden you got a gun in your face. And that stuff happens, not the only reason I'm not working for that type of establishment anymore, but that's a part of the reason. Other than that, I just don't want to go to jail. I don't like the idea of breaking the laws. And unfortunately, when you deal with, that subset, that culture, which is, stripper culture, or, yeah, essentially sex work culture, you tend to get around people that are like that would, either pull out a gun or make themselves look stupid and get ripped off, either or people who have sex for money but aren't supposed to. It's like this big, it's a circus, really. It really is a circus in there. It's a joke. It's a bunch of clowns. And the clowns are on both sides. It's the dancers and it's the customers. They're both tricking themselves out. But not every dancer obviously would stoop to that level of selling their body for money, and I want to definitely stress that. But the overlying issue, or the underlying issue, becomes then, is prostitution legal or not? And if it is, then why do we allow it in, not only in the streets, on streets where it's being advertised, but also, in the clubs where it's, under wraps and protected. And this is a bigger issue than just, making clubs unsafe. This is, well, yeah, it is a bigger issue than that. You end up making a false market. And once you have a false market of something that's an illegal activity, it tends to make people on the streets think it's a little more legal. And then through that way, it does become this thing where prosecuting prostitutes seems a little immoral if you're going to allow it on a baseline level within the clubs. Now, in a perfect world, none of the dancers would sell sex for money, right? Unless it was legal. And then the other dancers who, the dancers who didn't sell sex for money wouldn't be pressured then to do anything at all sexual, because there seems to me there's a law, and that some people want to get around it. Some people can dance around it just by being secretive or not getting looked on when they're selling rooms or whatever, But the small demographic of people are going to spoil it for the rest of the clean people, because they want to partake in prostitution, but it's not legal. And so it really is an issue. I know I just posted about New York City legalizing prostitution. I don't think they actually legalized it, but they definitely made it. The cops can't arrest prostitutes anymore. So essentially, they legalized it. Now, that being said, each state its own, to each state its own. But that's 2 states now in the U.S. that have it like that. And I would just say, if we're going to make a safe environment for entertainers, maybe we should hold our clubs to a higher level of commitment to stop, sex within the clubs. There's always going to be an outside market. There's always going to be a market that is illegal, as long as you have this type of work, just being done in general. But it doesn't have to be in the clubs, and it shouldn't be, because then you're involving people who are innocent bystanders trying to make a living into criminal activity, which nobody needs to go to jail. It doesn't have to. I think even the prostitute should be looked at with a little bit of grace and shame. It's not the funnest job to have. Definitely takes away, like, how are you going to have fun having sex if you sell your body for money? I can't imagine it would be all that much fun. But anyways, I just that's why I support OnlyFans, is for the safe part of it. It's just keep it safe, and I'm not encouraging women to do that. I'm really not. I'm just saying that rather than go get yourself a strip club membership, maybe for now stick to OnlyFans. And don't put yourself in that environment, because I didn't like it, and who am I, right? But I think that it's just safer, and it's a place where you're not going to get caught up in the middle of some shit, which possibly can happen, even with the bouncer, even with the manager, even with the door guy, the guy who walks them the cars. No matter who, you can get caught up in some shit. So just be careful. Whichever side you're going to go, if you want to go apply at a strip club, make sure you know what you're doing. Like, don't just go in there thinking nothing can happen ever. Like, things do get escalated. Situations get sticky, and not from, what you would think. Anyways, hopefully you're not a prostitute. If you are, I feel bad for you. Try not to do that. But, either way, it's sad out there. I understand. So, keep everybody in my prayers, and, yeah, bye.